Boom, baby. We are live. Welcome to the Tokyo Crypto Show, episode 60 here in General's June, where I will be live streaming every single day in June, featuring a general from the Hot Dude Army. Now, Charlie here is actually a general in the Hot Dude Army. We're going to dedicate a whole episode to him on Interview with the Man. But today, we're just going to talk about Bitcoin potentially hitting $56,000 per coin in 2021. Charlie is the owner of cultivatecrypto.com. You may have noticed him as the drunk guy on Dude Party one time. Everybody loved drunk
Charlie. It was a good time.
Charlie, welcome to the show. How are you, my brother?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. How about you?
Oh, just living the dream in Tokyo. Living the dream.
That's good shit, man. Yeah, it's been finally, feeling like summer here. I think it's supposed to be rainy season, isn't it now? But it's actually like pretty tame this year. It's not really raining that much.
Thank God. You know what I found out today, man? Just because we got those those upper tax bracket problems. I found out that if you live in Puerto Rico 6 months out of the year, you can pay 4% tax on everything.
That's pretty cool.
And Japan is miserably cold for 6 months out of the year. I am seriously considering that, just as a side note. But yeah, because I'm not a big fan of taxes.
Yeah, have you ever been to Puerto Rico? I haven't.
I have. I went to just the not what do they call it? I think it's called El Morro, the big castle or whatever down there. It was like the seaside castle. And man, I fucking love it. It was beautiful. The food was good. I mean, there's some dangerous areas, of course, but yeah, I mean, nonetheless.
Well, compared to America right now, I'm not so sure, but no.
Yeah, I mean, listen, to save some money on taxes, I'll do it.
Yeah. And well, yeah, they got nice weather down there during this, during our winter. So why the hell not give it a shot?
Absolutely. So let's talk about what we got going on here today. Potentially $56,000 Bitcoin. What are we thinking?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of a very specific number, right? Mm-hmm. So let me send you over this link and we can just show everybody the math. The reason why I want to send you the link to do it is because I think, it's just interesting to see, how you input it. So I'll send you these two links here. One is used to calculate Bitcoin's market cap, and then the other one is used just to see the current market cap.
Okay. So which one should I pull up first?
Pull up coin market cap first, just so we can see the data.
Okay, so we got coin market cap here. This is for you guys. I'll put the link in the chat for you guys that want the information. It is coinmarketcap.com/currencies/Bitcoin right there. I will share my screen and put this up because, listen, real quick, though, before we jump into this conversation, I just want to say something. Bitcoin has performed very, very well despite this global pandemic. It's recovered really, really well. I mean, some guys in our community, like Scott, got in at 4,000, and now he literally has more than doubled his money in under 2 months.
See, we've been talking about this for a while, and whenever some of the guys in my group as well, I think Greg in particular, I won't say the specifics, but he was dollar cost averaging in, and he's been paying attention to this ever since we started talking about this. I mean, he knew about it several years before, but he kind of forgot about Bitcoin, ignored it for a while. And then, once we started talking about it, opening the Tokyo Crypto Show last year, he started being like, oh, well, maybe this has something, but he missed, the early part of last year's bull run. And then as soon as we got that big dip, right, the people who've been paying attention to people who weren't able to get those cheap prices in the past, the smart ones were jumping in at that time, I think. And so, yeah, man, a lot of the new people who are into crypto making money is a fucking great thing, in my opinion. So, and yeah, doubling your money in what, two and a half months is pretty damn good.
Yeah. I just have been telling these guys since last year, as well as you, that, I mean, look at this, despite the literally global financial market crashing, Bitcoin's already broken 10,000 for the second time this year, right? Is that the second time?
Yeah, second time in 2020. Hit 10,500 just before the financial crisis started, and then it hit 10,450 just this last week. So not shabby. And I think year on year, it was, the statistic I saw was maybe a couple of weeks ago, but year on year, Bitcoin, or so far from beginning of calendar year 2020 till now, Bitcoin has the best returns of any major asset or stock. If you look at the S&P, that's down over the year. If you look at the FTSE 100, that's also down. If you look at gold, it's up a decent bit, but Bitcoin's up better. I think gold is up something like 14%, Bitcoin's up 23%. That was from stats earlier in the month. I think right now maybe Bitcoin might even be up a little higher than that from the beginning of the year. And then the only other thing to kind of rival Bitcoin in terms of percentage gains just from the beginning of this year is the bonds market. Actually, I think I forget which one in particular, but it was up about 23% on the stats that I saw. So yeah, Bitcoin, basically of the major things that people are looking at, is the best thing to be in this year. And I think throughout the next 3 or 4 years, it's probably going to continue to be the best asset to be in, throughout this whole bull market. Of course, once we get to the top of a bull market, then it comes down, 80, 90%, which is normal for Bitcoin. So you don't want to be in it for the whole bear market, but we're at the beginning of this bull market. Taking advantage of it is huge. And the other stat that I saw, I have to go back and try to find the actual website for this, but there was a government website, I mentioned this on my show yesterday, that was thinking GDP could decrease significantly over this next decade. And that would also then prolong a potential, not necessarily recession, depression, but just prolong a downturn in the market in general. So meaning that it's going to be a huge slog, for the economy in general to come back to where it was. And they're projecting maybe even after or around 2030 is how long it takes
for everything to recover in regards to the economy.
Yeah, compared to where it was at, just in the last few years, getting back to that level could take a decade, is what some government agencies are starting to discuss.
Well, we all know how we feel about government agencies here in the Tokyo Crypto Show.
Yeah, of course. But when the government's looking at it, the other thing, that I saw just when we were talking about with Aaron Clary about the stimulus bill, the other thing I noticed, is some of the information that they had on there was, and this is just, it's not like advertised information, right? It's just something that happens to be there. The other thing they were talking about is, there's a guide for how to take care of your financial situation up to the age of 100. Mm-hmm. So they're also thinking about that kind of thing as well. So in my opinion, they're probably basing it off of something, pretty conservative, but maybe tangible as well. So it's just something to keep in mind. I think in the next 3 or 4 years, for sure, you're going to want to be in something that is going to make you money, because there's not that many things out there that will consistently bring returns. And I think Bitcoin is one of them that will.
Yeah, again, we've been saying it for over a year now. It's not a get rich quick scheme.
Yeah, definitely not.
The market is here. It's going to stay. Bitcoin leads the cryptocurrency market as well. And I believe until there is just a more, basically, like the big thing about Bitcoin is like there's nobody at the head of it. It is decentralized, and I believe that is why it is going to be leading the front of the cryptocurrency for a long time. I think the only thing that could potentially overtake it is, you see Ethereum moving to the proof of stake model in the Ethereum 2.0. I think the fact that they are updating Ethereum and they are making improvements to it. I believe the only downside to Bitcoin is the technology will eventually be relatively archaic because nobody's really updating the blockchain. It's just kind of
not exactly true. They are trying to. There are because it's open source, right? So you don't have, like in Ethereum, you actually have Vitalik basically leading the charge. And then with Bitcoin, you just have a bunch of groups who are interested in it. Some of them are, related to mining. Some of them are related to updates. But, there's a thing that I think a lot of people don't pay attention to or maybe haven't heard of before, which is a BIP, Bitcoin Improvement Protocol. And they've been consistently adding Bitcoin improvement protocols, throughout the last 10 years. The main difference, though, is because it is so decentralized, it is a lot slower to adopt those improvement protocols. So some of the things that will improve Bitcoin over the next few years will probably be stuff that's a little bit off-chain, right? So allowing people to do transactions over something that's not on the blockchain and then going to confirm on the blockchain because, Bitcoin is, a lot slower. So, but it does have some updates going for it. The other thing is, I guess, when you're comparing cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin versus Ethereum versus the other stuff, you have to look at the network effect, which is Bitcoin and Ethereum both have great network effects, meaning that the people who join them and use them, have grown way faster. And once you have momentum on the network effect, it's kind of like when Facebook came out, right? At the beginning, it was, used by people in Harvard campus. Then it blew up outside of there within 6 months. I was going to school in Arizona. I was using it out there, my freshman year of college. And, then it just, blew up on an international scale as well. And so that's where Bitcoin's at, right? It has such an early advantage of having that momentum of a network effect going for it that it doesn't really need to be a whole lot better for actual transactions than other currencies to do well or to continue to stay dominant. The main thing that it needs to do is just get people to come in. And that's usually 90% of people when they get into crypto, they get into Bitcoin first because it's the main thing that they trust. And so, but the Ethereum, right, is has a huge network building around it. So that's also increasing Ethereum's network. But, during the last bull run, everybody said, when's the flippening going to happen? When is Ethereum or another coin going to overtake Bitcoin? And it never happened. So until something really looks like it's going to, take more market cap, I would be surprised if it happened. But until that happens, I'm pretty skeptical about that. But
I mean, I don't think Bitcoin's always going to be number one. For sure, something. If I were to liken it to something, it would be like the MySpace leading the forefront of social media to a whole new revolution.
It could. It could, or like Yahoo, right? Something like that could happen if they don't.
Jeeves.
I don't think it's an Ask Jeeves. Ask Jeeves wasn't that dominant.
I was more of a Lycos guy myself.
I liked Ask Jeeves, and I did web crawler as well. That was back in 1994 or some shit.
Yeah. So this is what we got here with Bitcoin and the market cap, and so this price jump recently it was a little bit of a mini pump, but and it's already fallen back down. What do you want to pull up your chart and tell folks what you think about coming up for the price?
Yeah, it was the classic BART pattern.
Yes.
The BART move, which is always fun when I can show that here. Hold on. Let me.
Marcus Pleasure says Bitcoin versus Monero versus Ghost Coin for a 5 to 10 year horizon. I don't. With Ghost Coin, I can't say. Monero's privacy is seriously something to factor in to all of this.
Yeah, well, when you're looking at the price of future price of a cryptocurrency, it's not necessarily the most logical thing to look at. What's its use? Its use is very important for that it will survive, but it's not necessarily going to drive its price. There's a lot of different factors, and I think the main factor for Bitcoin is it won't out. A lot of the altcoins will outpace it. Once we really get into a heated bull market. But you can just see this pattern, every time so far up till this date in cryptocurrency is that nothing moves unless Bitcoin is moving. So Bitcoin is required for the bull market to actually start going because everybody's confidence is mainly in Bitcoin first and foremost. So I do think percentage-wise, a lot of the altcoins will outpace Bitcoin because they are younger. But the for sure horse to bet on is definitely Bitcoin. For me, Monero is probably the best cryptocurrency in terms of, transactions and privacy, all the things that we value, in the crypto world, Monero is one of the best. But during the bull market in 2017, it really didn't move that much. I think, we could take a look here at coin market cap.
Let me pull up the screen right there. Here we go. We'll go full screen. Okay.
Yeah, if you just take a look at Monero's price history, it's actually really stable, which makes it even better for transacting an actual utility coin. So, well, let's just look at its all-time highs and all-time lows first. Its all-time low is 21 cents back in 2015, so quite a while ago. All-time high, $500. So, really good increase for sure. Right now, it's $67. And, that all-time high in terms of dollars, right, was up here in 2017. But really, it didn't pump in terms of price until early 2017, and then bottom down here in early 2019 compared to dollars. The green line is the dollars. The orange line is compared to Bitcoin. So what this tells me is that it didn't pump until early 2017. What that tells me is that, well, Bitcoin was pumping from 2016 or 2015 to 2017 before a lot of other stuff started coming with it. So a lot of the stuff that really didn't pump until, I would say, middle to late 2017, those are the coins that just pumped because the whole market was pumping. Monero, I think, is valuable and very useful, so it started pumping a little early in 2017. Ethereum started pumping in 2016. So you just kind of see, the differences in how people react to the coins. And Ethereum at that time was still relatively unknown, or, not really looked at the way it is today. So I like Monero, but it's highs, right, of $500 compared to Bitcoin's 20,000 is, you're probably not going to necessarily gain more through Monero. But I would say, instead of looking at it on a dollar level as well, you should probably look at it on a percentage level, in the future. And then also you can take a look at the chart here, is the orange lines, which is it going to outpace Bitcoin? So that's the main question. So if it outpaces Bitcoin, great, because then you can make money. But it's really a timing thing in crypto, like here, right? If you did that at the last 1 year of the bull market, you're doing great. But if you do it too early, then you miss some of the gains that Bitcoin gets in the early part of the bull run. So Bitcoin moves first, everything else follows.
Yeah, Bitcoin really does just like bitch slap the whole market around. Like, I love when people try to say anything about Bitcoin and like, oh, Bitcoin's losing relevancy. I saw some idiot on crypto Twitter, probably one of the worst places to be other than a Hex private community, talking about that by the end of this year, Bitcoin is going to be $3,500.
Yep.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I love how Bitcoin gets haters, from every fucking side, right? It's like, gets haters from its own, crypto sphere. It gets haters from everywhere else. And then it's still yet, does awesome. So
James Arthur says, if not 52,000, what do you think the low end would be by 2021? Should I buy in now or wait for another dip? What dip are you guys waiting for? Everybody seems to be waiting for a dip. Is it ranch?
To me, this is the same sentiment that happens every time Bitcoin pumps, right? And last year, for example, in 2019, when Bitcoin pumped to 5,000, right, then it kind of sat there for a while, and then it went to 6, 7, 8, pretty decently afterwards. There was a small pullback, but I think the cheapest you were going to get is about $5,050 in early 2019, in April, after that first big pump into that bull run. And a lot of that, during that time, a lot of people were waiting for that, 4,000, 3,800, somewhere around there to kind of get in. They missed it once it got up to 6,000, 6,500. People were like, oh, this isn't going to go up again. I'm going to wait for lower. And it continues going up. So what I would do if I was in James's situation is, there's no better time than the present. That's the only thing you can control. So just get some, right? That's the first thing that you should do, is you should always have some. If you're already invested in Bitcoin, then yeah, if you want to wait for a dip. Personally, I think if Bitcoin breaks below 9,400 during this week, it's going down. How far? That's still a question. But it probably back into the 8,000s, at least in my opinion. So, somewhere between, 8,000 and 8,800 or 8,900, somewhere in there is still pretty good buy. 7,000, if that happens, buy as much as you can, but don't expect that it comes either. So if you want a dollar cost average, that's also a way that you can kind of get in and not necessarily have to worry about the price. Buy once a day, once a week, once a month, whatever time frame suits you.
Yeah, I mean the thing is with the inevitable question, should I buy now or wait for another dip, right? Here's the reality, guys. What are you stressing over? A couple hundred, even a couple $1,000, right? You're missing the bigger picture. And more importantly, you're kind of getting into the mindset of sitting there and thinking and thinking and thinking and not taking action. Like even at $10,000 is still a good price. What we're going to do here,
Steal.
we're going to talk about the upcoming price charts. Charlie's going to pull those up right now. And we're going to talk about what's going to be happening with the price action here within the next couple of weeks when this upcoming cycle. We just had the cycle low. And we're going to then talk about what the halvening has caused, the miner cost, and the actual raw cost to produce a Bitcoin has actually gone up, and what that is going to include in the future factoring in of the price of Bitcoin.
And I think that'll answer the other question. The cost of production issue will probably answer the other question, part of the question. If not 50, we're talking about 56K, but if not 56K, then what would the low end be in 2021? That will, when you look at the cost of production, you can kind of figure that out pretty quick.
Yep. So while Charlie gets that chart ready to talk
That's
about
already good.
Okay, just hit the share button and then we're good to go.
Yep.
Okay, there we go.
Got it?
Yep, there we go. Let's take
All
it
right.
away.
So I'm just thinking what time scale to look at first. I guess looking at this one on the weekly, each candle here represents 1 week of Bitcoin's price action. You can just see here on a weekly scale, if you just zoom in, that this week, that wick up, or that area that we've gone up so far, unless Bitcoin really closes above these areas here, which is basically above $10,000. If Bitcoin closes this week below $10,000, that what this represents right here is buyer exhaustion. Just there's not anybody else right now buying. And then I do think that would lead to lower prices. The next price line to kind of pay attention to is the 50-week moving average here, which is around 8,800 or 8,750. That area as well, we would want to see, does it break or not? And then you have the next support resistance zone between 78 and 8,200. So price-wise, those are the kinds of areas to be looking at on a larger scale. But if we move it down to the daily chart, and I'll move it down to the hourly chart later so we can see the BART pattern, because the BART pattern is always kind of fun to look at. But looking at this here on the daily chart, we had a day 55 cycle high. We have to really zoom out because Bitcoin's done so well this year. We had 55-day cycle high. Then going to about here, we had a 57-day cycle low. And what that means is that that cycle was very bullish because the high came way after. It's day 30. So that was, a very bullish cycle. But what we got going here is, like I said, so what needs to happen for Bitcoin to break down from here? Well, Bitcoin needs to first break below 9,400. If you can do that, then breaking below 8,800 would then mean that this top here was probably the cycle high. But also closing this week below 10,000 would probably be an early indicator of that. If that's going to be the case, then time, in terms of price, in terms of time, we go from this cycle low to the high, which was about 22 days into the cycle. So that's before the first 30 days, meaning we have at least until about day 55, probably, which would be around July 4th, the 4th of July, for Bitcoin to actually trend sideways to down. So meaning we get back down to this $78 to $8,300 support zone. Probably not that difficult to get back to that zone, probably pretty easy, but it would, could take some time. So short-term wise, if you're looking for a dip, that's what you're looking for. But, today's episode, I guess, is a little bit more on the macro price, more on where we're going long-term. If we zoom out on that on the weekly chart, one kind of thing, and I've talked about this on my show yesterday. These patterns I won't mention on the triangle right now, but if we just kind of zoom out and we see where we've been, all the stuff that's been going on. This is on a log scale, which means we can see the dips and troughs of the previous price action pretty easily. And if you look up to $100,000, like you said before, you can see that area right here. It's pretty far from where we're at now, meaning anything under $10,000 probably won't have much significance. But if you take this out and you put it on auto scale, right, you can see that once you try to zoom out to 100,000, which is way the hell up here, then it makes all the price action that happened from 20,000 down to 3,100 pretty meaningless in terms of if you bought Bitcoin anywhere down there and we do get to $100,000 or even here at $56,000, then, you'd be glad that you did, is all that I have to say about that pretty much. Because, you just got to get in. That's the first step.
Sitting around procrastinating. I mean, if you really want to learn about cryptocurrency and you want to learn about Bitcoin, right? It is difficult, right? This is why it's mainly a male-dominated space. It's a very fucking difficult thing to do. You can't just be a dummy and come into crypto unless you're part of the Hex community. They have like a 75 IQ requirement because they're all fucking morons.
Well, they require obedient followers who don't ask any questions to their dear leader.
Yeah, and the Hex people will learn their lesson, and ultimately Richard Hart's doing a good job by conning all these people. And, the thing is, the quickest way you're going to pay attention to this is if you buy in. Because trust me, you got to get through the phase as a cryptocurrency owner where you buy Bitcoin and like you're religiously checking the price like every hour, every 30 minutes. And like you and your pal, you're like, oh my God, bro, it went up $500 today, bro. And then like it crashes $1,000. Like, dude, I lost all my money. Oh my God. But you never lose your money till you sell it, boys. Going back to that, the point I'm trying to make is you got to get invested in order to pay attention. That's the quickest way to look at the learning curve. Real quick, I want to say thank you to Alfie Kingdom Podcast with the $2 super chat. It says, love you, bro. You're an inspiration. Bless, good man. Thank you so much, Afi. We love you too, 100%. And Afi is going to be featured on the show later this month as part,
That'll be a fun one.
As part of General June. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, Charlie, take it away.
The only other thing I was going to say about this chart here was the BART pattern, right? You're just mentioning, people who are relatively new to crypto or Bitcoin, if they were getting in maybe around the halving, right? This might have been their first like really big pump that was somewhat unexpected. And right, like you said there, going up, a few $100 or a few $1,000 in the matter of an hour. Like literally this one happened within 44 minutes. Going from 9,600 to 10,400. It's a wild fucking ride. That's for damn sure. But, it also came down here at the same fashion. I think somebody in the chat had mentioned, do you think this, kind of scam pump, because it's basically the BART pattern, right? You got his head right here, right? But basically jumping up here and then jumping down. I do believe that there's potential for, a few whales just to take advantage of this moment in time, and I think what they were trying to do was to see if they could try to break this 10,500 resistance. And they realized once the price was kind of going sideways that nobody was really FOMOing in here. Nobody was just jumping in, scared that the price was never going to go down again. And so they probably sold out. So that's just kind of you can't prove it, but potentially that's what could have happened.
And for you guys that are not in America, if you want to know what we're talking about with the BART pattern, this is the character Bart Simpson from The Simpsons, and you see his hair. It has like this spike, so the joke is like the price shoots up and then it goes sideways, up and down a little bit, and then it crashes down. It's a Bart Simpson pattern. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah, I think if you just Google Bart and then Bitcoin, you'll probably come out with some like candle charts going over his head and stuff. It's entertaining.
Let's go to Ricky says, how much of their portfolio percent do you recommend people hold in crypto? It depends on each individual, to be honest with you. I know people, like there are people I know that are just despise holding on to cash, and they buy a fuckload of silver or they buy a fuckload of gold, and they just stack precious metals. And if you just look at the history books, I mean, the price goes up over time. And if you know anything about the history of fiat currency, you know that it is irrefutable that the value of your fiat currency, no matter which one you're holding, it is going to go down. So from a logical long-term perspective, because most people don't think like that in life, it is objectively more intelligent to invest your fiat into something that is either going to retain value or increase in value. Look, like Spencer says, I've been buying silver since January. Smart. Are you buying physical silver, Spencer, or are you just buying like silver stock and all that? Go ahead, Charlie.
Yeah, cool. That's what I was going to say. Not that particular question, but yeah, if he is getting physical, then it's good that he's getting it before everybody is running to it.
Do you see that happening anytime soon?
What do you mean? That people running into silver?
People running to silver and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think people already have. It's not necessarily going to go crazy from here. I think it's already gone up quite substantially, but both gold and silver will do very well over the next few years.
Good. Yeah, that's what I think. That's what I was thinking as well. What about silver and gold-backed coins, says Remco?
I think he's talking about the cryptocurrencies that are backed by silver or gold. And so far, the only ones I've ever seen of those in crypto haven't panned out.
Yeah, wasn't Peter Schiff shilling some 24 karat solid gold credit card that was like you could spend it based on the reserves? Oh, Peter. What are we going to do with that guy?
Yeah, I saw he did something he did a stand-up comedy event, and I saw it on YouTube recently. It was actually kind of funny because he was like, the U.S. is the U.S. Federal Reserve is a huge Ponzi scheme, so they should have hired Jerome Powell or whoever they had in charge at the time of his joke. I was like, Peter actually got in a good one.
Yeah,
but yeah.
We got a couple more questions here for the guys in the chat. Ricky also goes on to say, thoughts on traditional investing instruments, ETFs, index funds, etc. versus BTC. I plan on buying index funds till I fill up my savings account, then BTC. I don't trust the traditional financial market.
Nope.
And I think the moment you put your financial future in someone else's hands, the reality is this. They are not going to care about it as much as you ever will because it's your fucking future, right? So you have to do your own thing. I'm a big fan of getting things. You need to do, Ricky? You need to read Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know if you have or have not. Some people will say, oh my God, that's an elementary book. No, shut the fuck up. Listen to what he says in that book. Get financially competent. Get to the point that you could sit at a table with millionaires and then you know what they mean by pumping marketing expenses up to reduce their taxation rate. You want to talk about purchasing real estate that you could factor in depreciation on a yearly asset or as a yearly tax deductible upwards to $40,000 a year, right? You want to be playing on this kind of playing field, right? You don't want to be like these, there's just a slew of stupid people out there, and they're all looting and rioting in the United States right now. So, obviously you're not, but you don't want to be like these people who are financially illiterate, and you want to make sure you have your financial literacy up. Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Build your asset column. Rich people buy things that are called capital purchases. They buy assets that create money. Poor people buy liabilities, things that cost them money. You want to buy a bunch of sneakers, buy a fucking luxury car, right? Buy all this crap that just depreciates in value. You want to be intelligent with your money and make your money work for you. Because once you get this kind of system down, then they say the rich get richer for a reason. It's true. The compound effect is real. So go and check that out, my good man. And that's what I would say. Charlie, want to add anything to that?
Yeah, well, with that compound effect that you mentioned right there, the more that you have, the easier it is to compound it faster. So it gets to kind of like an escape velocity. If you're compounding like $100,000, yeah, you're probably doing pretty good. If you're compounding a couple $1 million, it's going to be compounding a hell of a lot faster.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to talk about the pretty much baseline price of Bitcoin that's coming up next, which we believe to be about $14,000 minimum. Correct?
Yeah, I've seen a few different numbers out there. Personally, my number is about 15,000, 16,000, somewhere in between there. I've seen some people say 14. The lowest that I've seen is 11,000. But I can show you why I think 15, 16,000. But yeah, somewhere in that range, mid 10Ks is pretty much it.
Let's see it. You have a chart for us?
Yep. Cost of production for miners to mine one whole Bitcoin.
So the miners, just so you know, people who mine Bitcoin, all right, mining Bitcoin is like, you don't have like a digital axe and you're out there like hacking away on Bitcoin Mountain mining, okay? What it is, Bitcoin is a decentralized computer network, okay? So each person who runs a computer, they lend their processing power, okay, from the computer processor, something like this, right? This is an i7. I upgraded to i9, so I've got this little computer flex for you guys out there. You use the processing power of a PC to run the transactions on the Bitcoin network. So if I want to send like Charlie 1 Bitcoin, people have to use their computer power to make that Bitcoin travel from me to Charlie. The people that use their computers to keep the Bitcoin network operating, these are the miners. Now you can't, before, the algorithm was very simple and anybody with just like a desktop or a mobile piece or mobile computer could run the mining software on their own, and then they are rewarded with Bitcoin. So for every block of the blockchain that you mine, wow, I'm so used to saying 12. So before the halving, you used to get 12 Bitcoin as a reward, but now the halving has occurred, so you only get 6 Bitcoin per block, and the difficulty of processing the algorithm has gone up. Therefore, the computer power and electricity needed to run the Bitcoin network, the standards have kind of gone up, if you will.
They doubled as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, spot on. And I think we got a lot of new listeners as well. So I think it's good to go back over that, because I think there's been a lot of people over the last year who've been with us and have seen those episodes where we explained that. But I do think it's important to kind of go back over those type of basics from time to time, because it's not an easy thing to understand right off the bat. And so that type of explanation I think is really important. So we're looking at the chart yet?
Yep, I see it right now. Let's click that up.
Alrighty. So like John just said, right, the cost of production depends on the electricity cost, and the more people that are mining, which continues to increase every year, the more competition there is, the harder it is to get that 6.25 Bitcoin that you get for getting the block reward right now. So the simplest thing to look at is, let's take a look back at what happened on the left side of the chart here, which was back in 2016, the last halving. That was on July 9th, 2016. So what does this chart mean? Well, you got the price action going here, right? And actually, I'll just take off these other lines so that it doesn't confuse too much. But yeah, so you have the price of Bitcoin here, and then you have this band here, which basically is 2 different factors for its cost of production. The bottom one here is the cost of just the electricity cost that it cost to mine one Bitcoin back in 2016. Before that halving, it cost you about $244 to get enough electricity to mine one Bitcoin. Now there's other costs, right? Like John said, you have to have good hardware, you have to have a good PC or an ASIC mining rig, and so that adds into to the addition of the cost here, as well as cooling, potentially lots of other stuff. And so the total cost of production, including the electricity, is here in 2016 was about $408. What happened as soon as the halving happened? It doubled. Right, so the total cost of production went to $816, and the total cost of mining doubled as well from $244 to about $490. Right, of course, after the halving, a lot of miners couldn't afford to continue mining, so they dropped out. The hash rate dropped, and also the difficulty level or the cost of production also dropped. So we probably will see that here potentially over the next maybe month or two. You might see this difficulty adjustment kind of come down here so that it's easier for people to mine Bitcoin closer to a profit. But anyways, the line that I'm most interested in is, okay, when did that top area, that 816, initial double in total cost of production, when did Bitcoin never go below that price again? And that was on January 15th, 2017. It took about 190 days, or just a little over 6 months, for Bitcoin to get above that, be totally profitable for the miners, and then never get back below that price again in its history. Mm-hmm. We also had that in 2012, I think it was the end of 2012, when that halving happened previously. Same situation, but actually a lot faster. So it seems that this time that Bitcoin never goes below that total cost of production price that it doubled to ever again is increasing. So what I'm thinking currently is, let's say that at least doubles in time, right? So the next one, it takes us 380 days to get over that current cost of production. So the cost of production before the current halving was about $8,000 or $7,900. It doubled here to about $15,856. About, just about. Mm-hmm. But anyways, it's a lot of these things are pretty precise. You can look at this. I put this exact line here before the halving, and as soon as the halving happened, boom, that went right to it. The cost of production immediately doubled. So it's pretty predictable. Mm-hmm. And so now, miners are no longer profitable at the current moment. They're shutting down. This will probably decrease. And then what I'm thinking is, okay, let's say that it's just a double in time, mm-hmm. right? That takes to never go below 15, 16,000 again. Mm-hmm. Then that would be around May 25th next year. Mm-hmm. And so basically 1 year from now, it's possible, it's not guaranteed. This could actually extend longer, of course, but sometime within next year, my personal opinion is that Bitcoin probably doesn't get below $15,000 ever again, mm-hmm. based on that information.
So for example, thank you so much to Mr. Unplugged Fitness, aka Myron Gaines. The chat of all chats says, here to support, listen to Charlie, guys. Thank you so much. Mr. Unplugged Fitness has, talk about a guy who's taken pretty much every single piece of advice I've given and changed his fucking life, like, 100-fold. He also is with Charlie and making, I'm not going to say how much profits he's making, but he is making profits. He's doing very well for himself. So let's just keep it super simple for you folks out there, okay? So everybody wants to know, bro, how do I make money with Bitcoin, right? Okay. So Charlie, could you just give me what's the price of Bitcoin right now?
9,600.
Okay. Let's just say you take a conservative amount of money. Okay, so one Bitcoin is 9,600. So you take $5,000, right? Divide by 9,600, and that gives you 0.52 BTC. So you have a little over half of one Bitcoin, right? Now, if Charlie's prediction comes true, which if you've been watching our shows, We've been pretty good at this so far. And it's not even a prediction. It's just basically mathematics and looking at the past, because everything in Bitcoin is set with the algorithm. There's really, if you're good at math and statistics, like you can literally print money using the system. Let's say it goes up to 15,000. So you invest $5,000 today. Okay. Now we multiply this by 15,000. Your $5,000 has now become $7,812. Now, if you were to take that $5,000, what's the going rate on savings account these days, Charlie? Like 0.25%? Like savings account interest? Charlie, you there? Oh, looks like we lost Charlie. Is he? Hold on. Charlie, you there? Are you just nervous? All right, come on back, Charlie. Let's see. Well, we'll wait for Charlie to come back. I'll just keep on going to mathematics, okay? Someone in the chat, someone be my Charlie in the chat. What's the going savings rate right now for what we got going on? UK, 0.15 savings. Oh, Jesus, 0.15. Okay. So you times this times 0.015. No, actually, good Lord. That's not even that good. I mean, wait, that's 0.015%. Is that correct? Okay. All right, Myron Gaines says the best is 2%. Let's just do 2% for simplicity. So you see, let's say you put the $5,000 in a 2% account, right? You're going to make $100 in 1 year. Now, factoring in inflation, right? Because fiat currency is going to lose value over the time of the year, right? Because that's just how that's how fiat currency works. You're gonna make less than $100, okay? But again, Bitcoin in itself is deflationary. So again, your $5,000 times the current price of Bitcoin, divide by the current price of Bitcoin, which is 9,600. Now you got 0.52. Let's say it gets to 15,000. Again, $7,812. Now, not a lot of money. You make $3,800. Not a lot of money, but it's better than letting it sit around on a savings account and do nothing for you. Charlie, welcome back.
Hey, yeah, StreamYard is fucking up for some reason.
Don't, Charlie. This is a Christian channel. Don't say fuck.
Oh yeah, we haven't said any of that stuff before.
But yeah, we were just talking about how basically it's gonna, if you put a savings account with 2% interest, it's gonna make you about $100.
Yeah, which is not much.
Not much at all, dude. I spend more on a friggin' steak lunch with you than $100.
Yeah, exactly.
If I cover the tab.
Yeah, when I think like the Celsius network, right? They're offering interest, which is great for people holding, but at the same time, it's like, do you really want to give your Bitcoin or your cryptocurrency over to somebody else to gain that interest? If you're going to get it back in full at the end, that's definitely. But the volatility with Bitcoin, you can do better with a portion, I think, trading, over time. But you just want to increase the Bitcoin that you can any way possible. But compared to a traditional savings account, it's clear, like even gold is going to be better, because once we get into negative interest rates and the bank charges you money to hold your money,
bro,
I mean, come on.
Listen, as an American, that's going to be a problem.
Exactly.
if we're going to have to charge money, if we're going to have to charge money to keep it in the bank account,
that's where it's going.
I don't know. Yeah, you got. That's not good. It's not good. So, again, I want to bring some attention to Ali, because sometimes on the channel we do get repetitive, but for you guys who have been loyal followers from the beginning, you have to remember people come into the viewing cycle. And for example, look at Ali J. He says, guys, I didn't know that you can buy a part of a Bitcoin. Absolutely. You do not need to purchase one Bitcoin at a time. When Charlie mentions the strategy called dollar cost averaging, this is when you just put in a portion of amount of money just to buy Bitcoin. Some people I know in the community, they put $100 a day. Some people put $100 a week, but they just know, hey, I'm putting $100 in my Coinbase or whatever. That money's gone.
Cash App as well is a good one.
Cash App, it's all over. I'm just going to keep on buying crypto, and I don't care if the price is going up or going down. I'm just going to keep on stacking this money. And listen, guys, especially if you're in your 20s, you do that for 10 years, 15 years, you pay attention, you know, you're going to need money when you're older too. Don't think you're just going to croak off and die when you're 40.
And, well, yeah, I mean, people live in, longer, like 20 years longer now compared to when we were born. So that's very possible within the next, 40 years that, we could be living to 100.
Yeah. So let's talk about your price prediction of 56,000 in 2021. What was it? That's a pretty wild number. I like it.
Yeah, it's very specific, right? Which is great. But yeah, so go back to the coin market cap link that I sent you at the beginning of the show, just for Bitcoin.
Alrighty. Let's see. One moment, please. We're just going to pull this coin market cap up right here. Okay.
And go to supply on the bottom right under Bitcoin statistics.
Okay. Circulating supply.
Yep. So that's the current circulating supply is 18.3. You're going to need that number in a second here. Now, I just threw the other link at you, that market cap calculator. So open that one up as well.
You want to do this on your end? Because you can do this a lot faster than just giving it.
Yeah, well, I figured it's good to kind of show people how to do it. But yeah, I can do it a little bit faster. That's fine.
Yeah, just be a little bit better.
Yeah, because I think the explanation of this is pretty simple, but it's important, to kind of understand how to do it. So can you see that here?
Yep. We'll pull that up for you right there. Go ahead.
So I'll just take this current circulating supply, which is 13,393. And while I'm doing this, can you also open up a desktop calculator on your side?
Sure.
So currently, if I go to this website, the current price of Bitcoin is about $9,500, right? And the current circulating supply is 18 whatever million.
Right.
And if I just press enter here, this will give me the current market cap. Or it should. There we go. Should be about $174 billion. Okay, so we got hundreds, thousands, millions, billions, right? 174. So let's go over here and see if that's correct. Well, yep, pretty close, right? The market cap for Bitcoin right now is $176 billion. So basically that math works. So then the next thing to look at is, okay, let's say Bitcoin is $56,000. Okay. And on your desktop calculator, just take, right now we're averaging 900, well, not averaging, it's going to continue to be this for the next the next 4 years. One day, there's going to be about 900 new Bitcoin added to the circulating supply. So if you could take 900 times 365 days, just for 1 year.
Okay, that's 32,850.
Okay, and then can you add that
excuse me, sorry, 900, right?
Yeah, 900.
So 900 times 365, sorry, that was a mistake on my end. 328,500.
Okay, so 328, I'm just going to rough guesstimate it, right? Because if we add this to the 18.3 or 18.4, that'd be about 18.5 or so. I guess if we have an exact number, that could be correct. Can you add 18,390,000 to it?
18 million.
Or sorry, 18,000. Or no, I'm right. Million. Yeah. Sorry, I was looking at one digit.
93,012. So the exact number is 187,21512.
Just press enter on that. Don't need the commas in there. Then we get this number here, which is a market cap of $1 trillion and some change. So why is that important? I think, when Bitcoin first got to its $1 billion market cap, people were like, holy shit, there's $1 billion in Bitcoin, right? And it's going to be the same thing when it gets to $1 trillion. But I also believe, I don't have the statistics up for me right now, but something like, I think gold right now has several $1 trillion. So Bitcoin, if its target is to kind of rival the market cap total amount of money that's in gold, then this is the first step. And so the first step is getting Bitcoin at least $1 trillion in market cap, and that will start having a lot of people take it seriously, because a lot of people, in traditional financial markets, they're like, well, the Bitcoin market, right? If I were to try to buy a lot, I get a lot of slippage. The price changes a lot. I can't buy a ton of this coin at once because the market cap is still relatively low. So that's kind of one of the benchmarks to look at in this current this next bull run is $56,000, because that's when Bitcoin is $1 trillion in market cap.
So let's go back to our calculation on the calculator here. So right now, let's say you take 5,000, right? Divided by, what is it, 9,500? Right. So 0.52. And let's say we have a wild year, and next year Bitcoin hits 56,000. If you times that times 56,000, in 1 year, you'll have $29,473. That is what George Bruno makes in 1 year cutting hair. So 1 year, with the click of your finger, you can be literally, just like the Federal Reserve, printing your own money from the convenience of your household. Now, again, it's not a guarantee, but you have to understand that I always go back to the internet, okay? And here is a fact for everybody. Internet sales, every single year since the dawn of the internet, crush the previous year in sales, okay? So if last year the internet made 1 million, next year it makes 2 million. It's very common for internet-based businesses to double in revenue every year, as long as they have a sustainable growth plan. With COVID-19, a lot of companies have made a shitload of money. One being, case in point, is Zoom. Zoom went from, good Lord, what were they, like a $10 million company, and now they're like 200 million or something like that? I know it was a big jump.
Yeah, it was, they did a lot more business. And even in the middle of it, they had, that the government was, taking some data from the back end. So they had privacy issues with that in terms of, cybersecurity, and they still, didn't blink an eye and still moved up.
Yeah. So just, I like to say, like, just common sense philosophy, like the guy in the chat. It's a guy in the chat called Common Sense Philosophy.
Yeah, but, I like that guy.
Common sense philosophy. Think about it, folks, okay? You have to think about, is the internet gaining power every year, or is it losing power? Is it getting stronger, or is it getting weaker? Are more people coming onto the internet, or more people getting off the internet? Based off of that logic alone, people will discover the power of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies. More and more dummies are going to buy into scams like Hexcoin, which eventually is going to push them towards reliable cryptocurrencies, because a lot of people are going to get burned with the Hexcoin nonsense. And then they're still going to want to be in cryptocurrency. Some people are going to write off cryptocurrency in general. But then another one will be like, well, Hex was garbage, but what about this Bitcoin? And they'll look into Bitcoin, and they'll realize, they'll realize the truth and the light, as I am slowly becoming a Bitcoin maximalist over the course of my life.
Yeah, it sounded like at the beginning of the show you were starting to turn the tide, but I think it's good to look at the other cryptocurrencies and understand them, but at the same time, you just got to know who's the main winner in the market, and it's Bitcoin, baby.
Shout out to Satoshi Stackers. That's a cool name. He says, good stuff, guys. Thanks so much. Christian Gonzalez says, do institutions hoard Bitcoin? Yes.
Yep. And also family, large family hedge funds, basically the rich people in Wall Street. Paul Tudor Jones, who is one of the best traders, most well-known traders, and one of the most successful hedge fund managers of all time, right, just got into Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I think the prevalency of Bitcoin is going to go up. I think it's only a matter of time. And then I think that if you're not paying attention, you will one way or another. That's going to do it for us today on the Tokyo Crypto Show, episode 60. We hope that can help you out with your cryptocurrency journey. Don't forget that we are going live every day on this show, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for Saturdays when I do Dude Party, for Generals June, where I'll be featuring generals in the Hot Dude Army, all the men leading other men to excellence. Charlie is amongst the generals. If you want to get on the waiting list for June 25th, Body Language Mastery 2.0, go to www.modernlifedating.com/body language mastery and get on the sign up list. Get on the waiting list, and you'll get a whole bunch of good things coming to you. Until then, boys, we gotta stop and sign off for a second. EC Smooth says, "Love you, Big Sean. Love you, Charlie." Listen, Ernie, we love you too, buddy. You're a real one. We fucking love you. We love you so much. All right, guys. You guys take care. Peace out.